Vermont, October 17th, Vermont state line south to Happy Hill Shelter. The AT walks the road from the Vermont state line to the end of Elm Street, a dead-end road in Vermont. Two very expensive houses were here, with long driveways on both sides of the road. There was a small dirt area on a hill to park for the trail. It was a beautiful, sunny, cool day with the temperatures around 68. The trail had started off immediately with a steep climb through a nice hardwood forest with lots of maple trees, and the ground was covered in red maple leaves. A very beautiful area. Even though we were past peak here, it was a great year for fall colors. We had passed a woman hiking with her dog, and she told us that her dog had just had surgery. We reached Happy Hill Shelter in about 3.5 miles from the road on a bit of a roller coaster climb. We did not think that we would make it to the shelter because we were a little tired today after the other 4 days of hard hiking, but we did. We found the outhouse with a new, bigger, moldering outhouse behind it. The base of the shelter was made with stone logs. We had never seen a shelter like this before. It was a unique design with the shelter's name made with ceramic wall tiles. The shelter was in a nice pine and hardwood forest. I found the shelter logbook and a Sherlock Holmes book called The Hounds of the Baskervilles inside the shelter. Some flip-flop hikers and some long-distance section hikers had logged into the shelter's logbook. I found a plastic bag with a note on the floor. The note said that someone had found a worm inside the water source. The note said that if they were heading into Hanover, that they should drop it off with someone at the college to see if someone could identify it. We had our lunch and headed back to our camper. We had planned to do a circle on the Tucker Trail to Newton Lane on the way back for a variety, but the Tucker Trail ended up in a residential area and we were unable to find the Newton Lane. My map showed the Newton Lane in big letters like it was a passable road, but it had been a dirt trail that was not drivable, and it looked like nothing had driven on it, not even a four-wheel drive or an ATV. The path had grown in, and we had to bushwhack back to the trail with Dave very doubtful that we could find a trail out here. It was hard to find any path through the woods with no real path to follow, no blazes, and the woods looking the same in all directions. We had started this hike at 4 o'clock and did not make it back to the camper until 6 o'clock. We drove to West Hartford, Vermont, and found a pull-off for the AT at the corner of Tigertown Road and Podunk Road. We could not camp here, so we had to look for somewhere that we could spend the night. We went to Queequeg State Park and got a campsite. It was a full moon, and the park was having a Halloween attraction going on. We walked the attraction, and it was very nice. Lots of work was put into this, and they had done a nice spooky walk. During the night, it was pouring out as we were sleeping in the camper. October 18th, Tigertown Road north to Happy Hill Shelter. It was a cold, cloudy, and windy day with some peaks of sunlight. Again, the trail started off with another steep climb. A mysterious fog came in, and from the fog a woman appeared, who, I swear, looked like a witch. She was not carrying a pack or water and was wearing a tank top, even though it was very cold out here. Dave said later that she looked like a witch, the way she just came out of the fog, and then after we passed her, the fog had just vanished. We had felt like we had been walking for hours, but no, we had only been walking for about 30 minutes after we had left her. We crossed Podunk Road, a dirt road with a ditch on both sides of the road, so again, no parking area for the AT. We descended and crossed some slippery moss-covered rocks over a small stream, and then we climbed up some more. We had not seen any other hikers all day. The woods felt very spooky, with the clouds very low to the ground. It was not sunny and beautiful like yesterday was. We passed by some old stone walls and crossed some old dirt farm roads and saw some old house foundations. We reached the top of Mount Griggs, which had a small field clearing but no views. We noticed that Vermont mountains mostly have no views. However, the woods are usually pretty in the pine and hardwood forests. Vermont is past fall peak season, so some of the trees are losing their leaves. We saw 2 red eyes on a tree. It looked like someone painted them on it, with the shape of a face around them. Dave had found out later that this was called bockwus. They are evil spirits that hunt for human souls. It is well known that bockwus lures travelers into rivers, and they are never seen again. Not sure why this is on the AT. We reached Happy Hill Shelter for lunch. It looked totally different than it was on that nice sunny day yesterday. Someone was at the shelter yesterday after we left, because whoever it was had wrote down on a piece of paper that the worm was called a protozoa. The paper and the bag with the worm was left in the rafters. The newcomer did not write anything in the shelter's logbook. Our feet were killing us as we hiked back to our camper after our 5th day of hard hiking. October 19th, Route 12 south to Perkins Road. It was a cold, frosty night in the camper last night, with a temperature of 28 degrees, our first frost of the year. We drove over to Route 12 at a new parking lot for the AT with a new footbridge over a stream that was closed. A sign rerouted the trail onto the road to an old wooden bridge past a farmhouse. The owners of the farmhouse had asked us if we wanted some water. I was surprised how friendly people were here in Vermont. It is something new for us. We said thank you, but we had just started our hike and was all set. It was late when we got onto the trail at around noon. We had felt drained after the past hard hiking days this week, so it was hard to get motivated for the hike. However, the sun was out with the temperatures in the 60s, and it was a nice day for a hike in the woods. We crossed the old wooden bridge and started our climb up in a farm field. We reached the top of the field and had a beautiful view of the farmlands, which reminded me of the views in Switzerland. The old barns had highlighted the area with cows in the fields on a hillside. The trail entered into the woods with a steep climb to the top of Mount Ascutney at 3,144 feet in elevation. An old sign marked the top. However, the mountain was not marked on the AT map. There was a nice view up here, and an apple tree was up here with some more apples on the ground. They tasted great. A grouse jumped out as I picked up an apple, and it startled me. We descended even though the map did not show a descent, only a climb. It is hard to tell by this map what is a climb or a descent. We saw 3 garter snakes on the way down to Perkins Road. We could not remember what Perkins Road had actually looked like as we had crossed a wide woods path. Was this Perkins Road? We started another steep climb up, and I started to think that we must have passed Perkins Road and was almost to the shelter. Our time was critical today, as it gets dark at around 6 o'clock. We reached another dirt path and walked down to where we were in 2007. This was Perkins Road, and it was weird to be back to an area that we had been to before. It looks the same but different. I kind of remember the area from when we were here. We stopped here and ate our lunch and then headed back to the trail to our camper. We found a large old stone chimney in the woods off the trail and went to explore it. It is what we do, exploring the woods and finding interesting things in the woods. At one time, there was a cabin here, a rather large one. It is close to the dirt road where we had just came back onto the trail. We met a southbounder named City Slicker who was heading toward the shelter. We had spoken to him earlier near the new footbridge. He was drying his laundry in the sun and told us that he would arrive in Georgia in January and would then head back north on the trail, sometime around St. Patrick's Day. He told us that he just hikes north and then back south on the AT, and that is what he does. We told him that we would be thinking of him during the storms this winter, and he told us that he will be looking forward to the storms. The weather had gotten cloudy and was getting cooler. The weather changes quickly this time of the year up here, not like it does around where we live.